in a big way, you're actually going to gain more control because you're going to have, it's like a quarterback. Again, going back to sports, a quarterback can't go out there and block and they just can't do all those jobs. Or even like a head coach, he's not going to be doing all that. They need to be able to survey, the field and the plays, run the plays and everything. They're not doing the blocking and tackling. So you're actually, if you elevate yourself to a point where now you've got these people, taking care of the minutia, now you have more control of the big picture of where you're going and where you're taking this organization.
Bootstrapped Unicorns, it's Josh again. Thank you for coming back for yet another episode. I am so honored that you're here. I am going to introduce Pete, Coach Pete, in just a minute, but I want to remind you that we're a sponsored show, and it matters to me greatly that you succeed. And one of my biggest hurdles when I was growing in business the first time, and if you followed, I've done this a lot now, was making my first hire. And sometimes you're actually not financially ready, but maybe you still have a need. And that great first hire might be what you're going to call a virtual assistant, but I call them a virtual professional because I'm working with Hire VP. HireVP.us/unicorns is where you can go learn about getting your own virtual professional on staff. And if you do that through that link, you're going to get 10% off your first 3 months. You need to make this leap if you haven't done it yet. And of course, there's a lot of growing businesses. You can do this too, but I'm talking to the small guys today. If you feel small and you're not ready, but you feel like you need help, this may be your best first step. And if you want to learn more, reach out to us. We'll talk. You know how that rolls. But HireVP.us/unicorns is your best direct pathway. So, Pete, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Josh. Great to be here.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're here. And you and I talk, I don't know, a couple times a week frequently. It's been a little light the last 2 weeks because I've been so busy with the team building these out.
Congratulations on the new space here.
Yeah, it's kind of fun, right?
Amazing, yeah.
Yeah. So we're enjoying every bit of that, but we haven't talked enough, so I'm glad we're just hanging out today. And, I know you as so many things, but, career-wise, you're a business coach. And I think, and back to the small guys, and I think this is why it was on my mind, and I don't want to diminish the size of a small business because every business is valuable, but sometimes when you're starting out, you feel a little bit smaller, and there's a little of that less than comparison happening, and I find that really saddening because there's a future you that will be larger, and I know I struggled to wrap my head around spending on a business coach. I don't even think I hired one until like 2013 was my first business coach, and it was absolutely transformative. And then I've done it time and time again over time. And so what I want to do is I want to talk with you about what you do with businesses to help them in XYZ ways. We can go down a ton of paths today, but I want to give small businesses the confidence that what may feel like a big check, they got to write to the coach, is actually the right investment to unlock all of the good things. Because I feel like there's a lot of fear for small businesses, and I'm speaking from experience, and I want to fix that. So what does it look like when somebody comes to you and says, okay, I think I can do this. I'm pretty sure I can do this. I've already started doing this.
Right.
Coach Pete, what do I do?
Yeah, it's a great question. And like you say, there is a fear of writing that check, just like there's a fear of writing a check for any service for a small business, right? To get started. So it's really about seeing the value. And what I do, it's kind of like, it's an old cliche and whatever, but it's kind of like dating, right? You have to kind of build that relationship before the business owner really gets comfortable in investing with you.
Right.
There's one choice to make an investment at all in a business coach, and then who do you choose? So I take it kind of slow with my clients, and basically I offer a free 45-minute coaching session, breakthrough session that we will actually get stuff done, but it's totally free, and it's just a way for us to get connected and kind of see if it's a good fit.
Yeah.
Because I look at it both ways too. I don't work with everybody.
Sure.
I want to work with individuals that I think I can help. And that is, I think, the most effective way to do it.
So who can you help is the question. So are there people that can't be helped? And I know you're speaking a little bit from your own experience that who you can personally help. Is there an uncoachable business, or is everybody in need of coaching? And I guess, who do you help?
Yeah, personally, I think everybody could use a coach. And again, it doesn't have to be a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
The relationship will be long-term because you'll stay in touch and everything. But as far as like the
you
contract,
become friends.
right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be long-term. So I have some products, some services that are specific for certain problems.
Okay.
Certain challenges that I've identified. And so if, we have a discussion and maybe you're having problems with your company culture or with your business development efforts, whatever it might be, I have different packages that help specific things. So really, is anybody uncoachable? I imagine there is, and I hate to say that they're uncoachable because that sounds so like finite and that's it. And I think that, it's timing in a lot of ways. So if I'm talking to somebody and they're at a time right now where they, see the value and want to get to the next level, and we talk and they see, okay, yeah, I think this is going to work for me, then, let's do it. So it can be timing. You could be going along, running your business, and just the timing's not right yet. Like you don't know you need to kind of stop and talk to somebody. But again, I just go back to let's have a conversation. If you're interested at all, if you have any kind of inkling of, what's this all about, even just, what can a coach do for me or with me, then let's have a conversation. And like I said, we'll make a mutual, decision about whether it's the best thing to move forward.
So I feel like if somebody's going to come to you and say, I think I need coaching, they're probably already on that coachable path.
Yeah.
Are there trigger moments where you find people start asking, like, hey, can you help? I know every time I've gone to a coach, it hasn't been, I'm feeling so good that we're about to grow. I'd like to grow 1% more than the 50% we're about to grow. It's never like that weird fairy tale ending. It's usually, there's something wrong and I need a problem solver, and that problem solver usually identifies more that I need help with. Yeah. And then I go a little bit deeper.
Kind of like taking your car in for service, right?
That's right. Yeah. I think I need tires and brakes and struts and oh crap. So, what is that inciting incident that you've run into? Or there's probably got to be a ton of them, but what are you seeing people find as that trigger moment that says, ooh, I need to talk to somebody?
Yeah, it's interesting. And you're right. I think that coaching is still kind of a new concept for people. And I think there's a misperception about what coaching is and what it, and I guess for me to say what it isn't first, maybe it can kind of help as well.
Yeah.
And it's not about necessarily like, oh, I'm in trouble, this business is going down, I don't know what I'm doing, I need a business coach.
That's kind of a fixer.
Yeah, maybe you need something else, more than a business coach at that point. And again, it's all varying degrees of problems that you have at that point. But really, and a business coach, you don't call a business coach, you don't call me at least, if you don't know what you're doing in your business. The people I work with, the business owners, are top performers. They're very successful in what they've done, and they just want to get to the next level. It was funny, I was thinking about it the other day. It's kind of like coaching in sports. There's so many great analogies with sports, but I'm not a t-ball coach where I'm literally teaching kids how to play t-ball, how to hold a bat, how to swing. I've done that. I did a lot of youth coaching in the past, but it's more like professional coaching. Yeah. So Michael Jordan, arguably, maybe not even arguably, greatest basketball player of all time,
still had a coach.
And got a lot out of the relationship with Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson didn't teach MJ how to play basketball, but he was just there to make sure.
And at the same point, MJ could turn around probably even mid-career and coach another team, other than maybe that weird issue that it's Michael Jordan coaching another team. But he had all of those skill sets, but probably couldn't coach himself. And
I would even ask the question, could he coach another team? I was just reading the other day that, and I forgot this, that Wayne Gretzky actually, when he left hockey, again, arguably the greatest hockey player of all time, he went on to coach, I believe it was in Arizona, and he was terrible.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and what happened, and if you think about it, like you look at like professional sports, how many superstar quarterbacks, whatever position, pitchers, went on to be, really good coaches. And I think, to your point, the problem is when you have like somebody like Michael Jordan trying to coach somebody else, it's, you can't relate to him because he's so great.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan's just like, well, just, shoot 1,000, shots a day and practice. I mean, it's just really hard to relate to. So it's kind of a similar thing there but the top performers, what I was saying is that I think top performers, again, like, top athletes understand the value of a coach.
Right.
And that's who I love working with, is somebody that does understand the value. And it really comes down to 3 points. And it's, I'm there to help you plan, help identify what's going on and create a plan to get to the next level. Then it's, to help stay focused on the right things at the right time. And then I act as an accountability partner. So really it's like, I refer to myself as a fractional business partner, a fractional COO, whatever the case might be. So that's really, again, I forget what your original question was, and we kind of
we're getting into the coaching thing, but let's key in on that help, plan, and accountability thing. Is it equal parts help, plan, and accountability? Is it different times? There's more than one than the other. I will tell you, for me, the planning I usually have nailed down. The help, that's malleable. That's a very pretty open term. But the accountability side,
yes.
I'm that guy. I can come up with about 50 different excuses for why the shiny object over here is suddenly important.
Right.
And I need somebody to bark at me about how that doesn't even fit the plan that I wrote.
Yeah.
And so I just wonder, is there equal ratio there? How much coach yelling is there? And like, you didn't do what you said you were going to do.
Right.
What's that look like in that relationship?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly, I would say it's not equal parts, and it's, like you say, different times, different things at different times, and people are different. And you think about it, though, you're right. I mean, accountability is really the one thing that we can't really do for ourselves.
Right.
It's like you can tell yourself, I'm going to be accountable, but again, and I kind of, I don't know if I coined the phrase, but I think you actually might have coined the phrase entrepreneurial ADHD.
Oh, well, that was a great conversation we were having together where we were both kind of picking on each other's habits of finding shiny objects.
Yes.
And then you were the wisecracker on the ADHD part. And I was like, well, yeah, entrepreneurs all have it. And you're like, entrepreneurial ADHD, it's a thing.
Yeah, well, when you think about it, I mean, it's like there's so many things to kind of think about and keep in mind when you're running a business, right? I mean, everything from sales to financials to HR to all. I mean, it's no wonder we get distracted, we get overwhelmed and everything. So really, yes, what I say, and ADHD, which I was diagnosed with a couple of years ago, very late in life.
It's interesting how many adult males are getting diagnosed well after 50 now.
Yeah, well, I think it was underdiagnosed for a long time, but yeah, I think there's probably something else maybe to that, but that's a whole other discussion. But yeah, it's interesting. And it was actually a relief because it explained a lot of things about the way I was feeling and kind of that overwhelm. I would lose interest in things. I would kind of disengage certain things. So
it's so entrepreneurs though.
Yeah, well, and it's funny because I think that there's a certain element of when you have ADHD, there's very good qualities as well. It's not all bad.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of entrepreneurs that go on and start their own business and everything, they may have ADHD, or at least, part of it. And those qualities, those positive qualities are what helps them, go out.
Well, Elon Musk. I mean, if we're going to put up,
he's got
autism.
Other things, yeah.
Yeah, he's on the autism spectrum. I think originally he was labeled Asperger's, but that's
no
longer. It's no longer officially a term. It's now the autism spectrum, and Asperger's, I guess, lives on that.
Yeah, that spectrum.
But
ADHD
he's ADHD too.
Yeah.
So I mean, one of the richest men on the planet. People are driving his cars, flying in his spaceships.
My son works for SpaceX.
Right, cool. I knew that, and I always forget it, and it's a surprise every time. I feel like Dory. But I mean, so it's not a black mark on your record, especially if you've got Elon leading the way as an openly non-hiding ADHD entrepreneur, autistic entrepreneur. It's okay, but it's also real.
Oh yeah, no, it's very real, and like I say, it's funny because when you start saying the spectrum, we're all kind of I mean, once you say there's a spectrum, we're all kind of
We're all on
there,
it.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You, me, him,
Yeah.
you watching, listening, we're all somewhere on the autism spectrum, and we're all at some different level diagnosed.
Yeah, and even if you're low on the scale, but you're running a business, again, it's the same type of effect. I mean, it's just sensory overload, basically,
Yes,
is what
it
it
can
comes
be.
down to.
It really can be.
And what I found is that with ADHD and entrepreneurial ADHD, it's not about a lack of focus. You know, I can sit, ask my fiance, I literally can sit at my desk for 8-10 hours, not forgotten to drink water, eat food or anything, and I'm super focused on whatever it is I'm doing. So it's not a lack of focus. What I found, it's lacking, it's not focusing on the right things at the right time on a consistent basis. So that's what I've kind of built my coaching methodology on, is that's really the key, is we can't watch everything all at the same time. I developed like a 21-point checklist, kind of like the inspection checklist when you take your car in, right? And we identify what we need to focus on over the next, one program I have is a 90-day to clarity, purpose, and profits. And it's, 3 months of working to identify the top 3 things that we need to focus on right now. Is it getting another salesperson? Is it
3 out of 21?
3 out of 21. Yeah, so we go through the 21 checklist together and we say, okay, these are the things that we really need to hit now. It could be like developing a team, could be working on your leadership qualities, because there's technical and soft skills in there as well. And so over the 3 months, we go through that, we build out a business plan. I call it a business plan on steroids. I call it performance mapping. Mm-hmm. And so you get a business plan that charts out the next 12 months and 3 months of private one-to-one coaching. And we work on those first few things. And then at the end of the 90 days, now you have the map of where to go for the rest of the 9 months. You also, though, have strategies and skills maybe that you didn't have before to really crush your goals. And so for the price of less than what like a consultant might charge for a business plan, you get that 3 months of coaching and the business plan and many other things.
This is amazing because one of the things I've been known to go and guest speak at college entrepreneurship classes, college business courses, and one of my favorite things to do is, hey, everybody, who's written a business plan? Yeah. Well, that was an exercise in futility. Throw it out. And it freaks the whole room out because, of course, usually they just finished some like multi-week project that's a business plan. And, one of the things I've been keenly aware of ever since I wrote my first one for real, not a practice one, was the day you write it and put the pen down, it's actually inaccurate because the world has kept moving forward. Yeah. But the only reason why it had value was because the exercise, I did it. Mm-hmm. I was a part of it. And I love that you've got this 21-point thing that you're working through over 90 days. Because the biggest waste of freaking money, and it's like actually gross that people pay other people for business plans and then walk away. Yeah. Because now the person you just paid is the expert and stays the expert. And now you've just got to document a really expensive lead weight. Yeah. Instead, you're spending time bringing somebody through these 21 points, identifying the critical top 3 steps, which of course, once you've championed those, I'm sure you could go back through another 90 days and re-identify and do it again.
Like painting a bridge.
Yeah. This is it.
Yeah. And it has to be dynamic. And to your point too, it's funny. It's like, I've seen people, it's kind of like, okay, write a business plan. So they, like you say, they take weeks, they write a business plan and all that. And it's like, whew, that's done. Then they put it away in a file cabinet.
Gone.
And they don't look at it again. And so, and you notice too, I said 12 months. I mean, it used to be, I remember like years ago, or not that many years ago, we used to say like a 5-year business plan. Mm-hmm. Well, you can't look at 5 years now. I mean, it's just 12 months, like you say, things are going to change in 12 months. So you need to be able to be, respond to any kind of changes. The market might change, the economy, whatever it might be. And so you need to make it flexible enough. And that's why I don't call it a business plan necessarily. It's performance mapping. So it's really, the steps you need to take over the next 12 months with the ability to,
Yeah, it's a helpful analogy though, because I think in the entrepreneurial world, we all understand its simplest forms what a business plan is. We know the SBA demands it when they want to place a loan for you. Investors need to see the business plan, so we speak that lingo. Yeah. But it's actually it's frustratingly flawed.
Yes.
Because especially, if you give somebody a loan based on a business plan, you're giving them a loan based on a snapshot that will likely significantly change.
Yes.
I mean, our business, my goodness, these video podcasting studios cropped up out of nowhere. Now, they were all wise decisions based on market conditions and demand. But 12 months ago, if you had asked if my business would look like this and, put it on a business plan, I wouldn't have, because I would have told you it's not happening.
Yeah, you never, it's funny, I think you and I talked about this too, like you start a business and you have this vision of what it's going to be. I'm not going to say never, because, but it's very rarely exactly the way you envisioned it. Because what happens, like, you're going to go along, a new opportunity is going to jump in, and like, then you're going to go down that path. And
or maybe not if you've got a good coach who warns you that it's not the right move.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because that's a shiny object, right? So it could be a shiny object. That's the danger, is that how do you know it's a shiny object or if it's a real opportunity? And so that's why, it's good to have a coach, to have somebody to kind of bounce that off of and kind of help make make that decision. But so the business plan, it's got to be more flexible, more dynamic, and that's what I try to do with the performance mapping and the 21-point checklist, and the key 3 is what I call the actual methodology, I guess you could say, and working over that 90 days. And like you say, information, even if you built a business plan and you looked at it and everything, and so now it's information, right? So information is the easy part. Anybody can get information. I had this story to tell it. I'll try to be as quick as possible. But
it's all good.
We have a 4-year-old golden black golden doodle, Stella, and
Stella!
we love Stella. Yes, that's what everybody in the neighborhood says. And Stella is awesome. She's the sweetest dog, but she has this bad habit of jumping up on people when she gets excited. People come over to the house. And,
big dog too.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's adorable, but I understand that. Okay, I need to try to train Stella not to do that. So one Saturday, I got on the computer, started looking at videos of dog training videos. There's thousands of them, tens of thousands. All these experts and everything. Watching all these videos, how to get your dog not to jump up and everything. So finally, after a couple of hours, I finally just pushed my chair away. Somebody was at the door. Friend came in. What does Stella do?
Jumps up.
Jumps right up on him. After all that time studying, getting all the information, she still jumped up on him.
Yeah, because you were trained, not her.
Yeah, well, the point is, like, the information was the easy part. It's the implementation that's really the only important part, So the idea is that with a coach, having a coach for 3 months, so you build this business plan, and then you have the coaching to go along with it. I help with the implementation, so anybody, like I say, anybody can get the information. There's so many sources of information for just about anything you could possibly need. But it's really about the implementation. And then going through that information, obviously, before that, and trying to figure out, okay, what do I need to focus on right now? So
well, and of course, back to accountability, the implementation, if it's a long enough process, it's very easy to lose focus and go down the wrong path. And so that's yet another point of having a coach, is if you're not called on your crap, then you might not fully implement.
Yeah, that's what I've seen a lot, is that business owners will get excited about, a certain path or a certain, opportunity, kind of, ramp it up, start going down there, and then something else will happen. Either, things will come up personally, or maybe there's another opportunity, and you find yourself just kind of going from one, great opportunity to the next, and not really, nailing down on one in particular. So that's the accountability and staying focused. Again, that's really the value of the coaching in general. And I have like 4 or 5 coaches in different areas of my life.
Right, coaches need coaches too. Yeah, you've got to have some kind of a structure and accountability. Or honestly, once you're a high performer and you want to stay there, you won't survive the long haul. And I've learned that the hard way. Going between coaches also is, that's an interesting dynamic over time. Is when you think, I don't need a coach anymore, and then 18 months later, you're like, oh shoot, I think I needed a coach.
Yeah, and it's different for different people at different times. And my thought is that, you shouldn't be dependent upon me for the rest of your life, you know.
Right.
So, you know, I could kind of jump in and jump out of the relationship when needed or whatever, but it's interesting. I mean, the whole coaching field is really growing and evolving. It really just kind of took off in the last few years. And I was talking to a president of a very large franchise the other day, and they actually have franchise business coach is something that's, you know, I see a lot now. And they have, you know, coaches in-house that coach new franchisees. And it's like, that is brilliant. I mean, what better way to ensure that, you know, this person's going to be successful as a franchisee? They provide a business coach at no cost to them. So I think that shows kind of like the value and the, you know, the importance that is being seen now to have a business coach.
Yeah.
I liken it to back several years ago in the healthcare industry when they started with the PAs.
Yeah.
It was kind of like that filled that gap that was needed in healthcare. Not to say that it's fixed everything, but
no, but it really, that was a positive move. There's so many things broken in the healthcare system,
right.
And less the healthcare system, more the insurance side that forces healthcare to make hard decisions.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't think any of the practitioners out there that I've run into, it's just like teachers too. Teachers get into the business to teach kids. Yeah. They don't get into the business to test kids and run statistics.
Right.
And I think that's the same thing with healthcare. And you know, it's kind of hard to watch the negative effects of what's happening with the insurance. And when they put PAs in, I was like, oh, okay, so I can see somebody who's competent and has my best interest and spend more than 3 minutes with them. Yep. That's charming.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I like the idea. I like a higher availability of coaching for maybe not coaching for all per se, but coaching for all.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, I think it's just a growing field that's going to be, you know, continue to grow. And I think people more and more are going to see the value as the results come in. And you know, there's going to be a lot of coaches out there that, you know, I think you need to be selective. You need a good relationship with the coach, whoever you bring on, and decide to work with. So again, that's why I say it's about, you know, building that relationship. So it starts with that 45-minute, you know, assessment that, and you know, I love to do that. I love hearing people's stories and really seeing and understanding if there's a way that I can help them.
Yeah, I love that. Well, and you're always helping everybody, including me. So I think it's in your entrepreneurial ADD it's part of your entrepreneurial DNA. So you mentioned the 21 points, and we're not going to drag the whole audience through all of these 21 points on the checklist, but are there one or two that you find are more common a hot button for entrepreneurs than others?
It's interesting. So you and I talked yesterday a little bit, and you brought up the point about, you know, the balance between, is it more technical issues that, you know, we work on, or is it more like mindset issues?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's funny because, and this relates to your question, when I got into this, I about 5 years ago, I really jumped into the personal development, you know, space. I just consuming a lot of content and really love the personal development space. And so when I decided to do this iteration of the business coaching, I kind of had a dilemma. I was like, man, do I want to be a personal development coach or do I want to be a business coach? You know, I love this side of it, but this side I love too, and I love growing businesses. I have, you know, 30 years of experience and all that. And what happened is I started talking to clients. I realized that at first conversations, it all started with mindset type things. And people aren't going to call me and say, hey, I've got some mindset issues.
No.
Let's start working together. And really what it comes down to is there's like one major limiting belief that is probably the biggest cause of a business not growing to where it could be. And that is the thought or the idea from the business owner that nobody can do it better than them. Or that nobody will care enough, you know, or care as much as they do about their business. And I say it's a limiting belief because there could be many people that can do a lot of parts of your business better than you can.
Are they not the same? Better.
Yeah, and are they going to care as much? No, they're not. They're never going to care as much about your business as you do. but they can do a very good job for you. They can be a great, team member, and they can do whatever that job is probably, better than you can do it. So that's the first thing I like to kind of work on, especially when a business is looking to grow. That is the biggest, block to any kind of growth that I've seen, is that belief that they just can't trust anybody else to take care of their business.
Yeah, and that is a really hard one. I've been in business for myself most of my life. I was talking to somebody the other day. I think I personally have less than 3 years of W-2s in the history of my existence. And, and when you're used to doing stuff for yourself, you're used to doing stuff for yourself. And as you start breaking out of that, one of the things that I've noticed is that, okay, fine, break me out of my limiting belief on what topic X, like, okay, bookkeeping. Yeah, I can keep my books, but I can also hand that off to my friend Dan, who does a way better job than me. Okay, I've let go. I'm done letting go. Mm-hmm. But how many other things are hidden underneath where they're all things that could be delegated to really great people who are probably way better at it than me? And then every time I do hand something off, I think, oh, I'm done handing it off. I'm like, oh, wait, there's more. There's just more. Yeah. There's just more. Yeah. And somehow I've got another mindset that I have to break about how I'm supposed to do something when in almost every time somebody brings it up, I'm like, oh, gosh, I probably shouldn't be doing that.
Right.
But you don't see it.
Yeah, you don't. And again, I keep going back to the value of having a coach. I mean, that's what a coach is there to help you do, too, is to really see those things that you don't see because you're too close to it. And you don't need to, it's not about going out and hiring 20 people and building a big team right off the bat. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's important to break off some of these things into smaller pieces and to work on them, 1 or 2 or 3 at a time. And because then you can kind of layer in, the support. Mm-hmm. And the nice thing now, too, the way our economy has changed and the workforce has changed, you don't need to hire W-2s. I mean, there's so many things that you can delegate to contract, virtual assistants. I mean, you mentioned bookkeepers. They can be, they don't have to be on staff. There's so many, people, partnerships. It doesn't even have to be somebody that you're necessarily paying. It could be some, other company that's doing something, and maybe they can help you and partner in that way. So there's different ways to do it. There's different strategies and all that. But yeah, the first thing you need to do is just kind of really understand the landscape, and then understand kind of where you're going, but then what resources do you need and what is keeping you from getting there. And again, like I say, sometimes it's a mindset thing that like you say, you're used to doing everything on your own, and you have to be able to let go at certain times. And and the funny thing is, when I say let go, I think people, they think of loss of control. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do. But I do.
But in a way, in a big way, you're actually going to gain more control, because you're going to have, it's like a quarterback. Again, going back to sports, a quarterback can't go out there and block and they just can't do all those jobs. Or even like a head coach, he's not going to be doing all that. They need to be able to survey, the field and the plays, run the plays and everything. They're not doing the blocking and tackling. So you're actually, if you elevate yourself to a point where now you've got these people, taking care of the minutia, now you have more control of the big picture of where you're going and where you're taking this org. Yeah. So it really elevates you and puts you in the driver's seat to where you have more control.
Hey, Bootstrapped Unicorns. I just wanted to remind you that Viking Bags has sponsored us, and the reason why they sponsored us is they kind of thought I was cool. That was awesome. And they thought I was cool because they think you're cool. They think our audience is the right audience for them. And so I wanted to share this bag again. This, I'll be honest, other bags make me look like I'm a college kid again, and I feel almost smaller wearing them. This look and feel fits who I see myself as. I'm a professional that cares about look and durability. I care about protecting my expensive equipment, which is almost always in this bag, but I also want to look like I mean business. And this means business. This bag means business. So if you are a professional who cares about how you look, in fact, look at this again, one more time. that is a strong looking bag right there. Now I don't have my jacket in there right now, so it's not as puffed out as it usually is, but you will look great with this. And if you're a motorcycle enthusiast, you're gonna love all of the Viking bags product line.
So it shouldn't be as scary as thinking, oh my God, I'm going to lose control.
Well, and honestly, that's the kind of the ultimate distinction between business owner and entrepreneur too. Because the entrepreneur aspires to get to that level where they've got an amazing team executing in their amazing ways, and then they can look at that overall business and talk about, structure and process and procedure and investment towards larger things and the growth trajectory of a business. Where, we know these guys, there's so many plumbers out there who used to be a plumber for somebody else. They leave, they're going to go turn the same wrench under the same sink for themselves.
Yes.
And they're not growing the business. They're just, they own a business, which really means they own a job, but they're not entrepreneurs.
Right.
It's not an interchangeable term necessarily.
Right, which is fine. And there's nothing,
there's nothing wrong with it at all. And we love tradespeople. Mike Rowe, Dirty Jobs, has got the mantra. He's speaking the mission. In fact, by the way, hi Mike. We'd love to have you on the show, and I'd love to be on your show. I'm not cool enough yet to be on your show. I don't think I qualify, but you are cool enough to be on our show. Invitations out.
And he's got a very deep voice.
I envy his voice.
Yeah, he's got a good voice.
I actually do. Have you heard him do
voiceovers?
Yeah, have you heard him do barbershop quartet?
No.
Yeah, I mean
by himself.
Well, yeah, all four voices coming out of one guy. No, listen to his podcast. Brilliant voice.
Yeah. No, he's good. But nothing wrong with being that single, owning a job basically, like you say. But if you have aspirations to, really build a business, build a company, something that you can leave, to your family or sell at some point, you can't sell a business if it's just you.
Right.
As soon as you're gone, the business is gone.
That's right.
So you really need to be able to, if you want to do it, you need to be able to scale and get it to a point where the business runs itself, or not runs itself, but runs without you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. If you're integral into it, and I lived my life like that for a long time. I basically was a freelancer with some people around me. And it's taken 15, 20 years to finally get to the point where I'm only kind of needed.
Right.
Thank God.
Yeah, I'm sure you're always wanted.
I think I'm welcome. I think people like having me around. I get smiles.
Tony, is this true?
You're not paid for the smiles. You really are.
2 thumbs up from Tony.
Okay. Yeah. So let's just get down to brass tacks. Like if I needed some of what you're talking about, where I feel like I can champion the next mountain in my business, but I think it's going to be a little ugly if I don't have somebody helping me get it right. How do I do this? Is it that 45 minutes spending with you? Is that what do I get out of 45 minutes with you?
So we'll go through, and I'll look at my 21. We'll do an assessment first. I'll send out a little assessment that you just answer some questions. Kind of gives me an idea, save some time on the 45 minutes. It gives me an idea of where you are, what you want to do, and what you think might be some of the issues that could come up. And then, we'll just have a conversation for 45 minutes. We'll identify what the key things are that are holding you back right now.
Yeah.
And then, you'll have a better idea. Coming off that 45 minutes, you'll have a clearer idea of where you want to go, what's kind of holding you back, and what you need to get there. And then if it's something, like I said, we mutually agree that, it's kind of like, so we talk, okay, here's what, you can do for the next, whatever, 12 months. Do you need help with that? Would you like me to help you? And again, it's all about the staying focused, having an accountability partner, and just having somebody to bounce things off of. Sometimes being a business owner or entrepreneur, can be very lonely. And it's good to have somebody just to, be able to call and say, hey, this just came up. What do you think about this? Or just, I was thinking about this last night, as I was, laying in bed. What do you think about this? And it's, again, that I think there's so much value to that, because I've used that kind of support in my business. So, it's but it starts with that 45 minutes. Yeah. That's the best way to start a conversation and start a relationship and just see if it's, like I say, if it's right for both of us.
I really like how you called yourself a fractional business partner earlier. My wife and I, though we own the business together, she really doesn't enjoy most of this business. She likes the shows we do, and she's met some of our
Oh,
clients.
she likes the fun stuff.
She's the fun stuff, right? And she likes our staff. She likes all of our people because we like people and we love people. But just this morning, I kid you not, I'm sitting with Shannon and I'm explaining some of the things with the finances and the future trajectory of our business. And I feel so bad when I do this because I get excited about some of the new things, and then she starts glazing over. And a couple minutes in, she goes, "You did it again." I was like, "What?" And she goes, "You went down a path that I have no interest in. I trust you. Run the business, please. I love you. Get out of my hair." Yeah. And we both laugh about it because I do this at least once a week. But entrepreneurs do want to talk to somebody.
Yes.
And we do want a thinking partner that is on the same wavelength on that topic.
Yeah.
And so the fractional business partner thing, I don't think I'm actually personally wired to have a one-to-one business partner.
Right.
I don't think me as an entrepreneur, I couldn't have a 50%.
Yeah.
But I desperately need people around me who care enough to have the conversation and really think about the ideas that are being had. And that's what I know you and I do. And I know that's what good coaches do for their people. Their client feels so, is that the term you use? Is it a client? I feel like they're
friend.
Well, but it's not friend either, right? Not in that moment, because that is it is a transaction and does have to have a very yeah, maybe
Sometimes.
Yeah, the straitjackets come in at some point too, but I think we have defined a term for that at some point, because it is more than a client. It's just like, I worked in low-income housing eons ago, and I was one of my few W-2 jobs.
Yeah.
I ran low-income housing for a giant real estate investment trust, and we didn't have tenants.
Yeah.
We had residents, because the term wasn't quite right. And I just feel like the relationship it's not necessarily client.
Yeah,
it's something more.
One thing I thought of is kind of like, well, it goes back to the fractional business partner. It's like client partner.
Client, yes. So now add partner to it, and then suddenly it's got some kind of gravitas to it that actually is worthy of what this coaching relationship is.
Yeah, because it's a two-way relationship for sure.
It is.
And it's collaborative. It's all those things, and I just love that kind of relationship in business. And so I think client partner is a good way to put it, because it's not just a client, like a consultant would be more like, okay, you have clients.
Yeah.
And what I've always heard, the difference between consultant and coach is a consultant has all the answers, coach has all the questions.
And isn't it quite the case?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the importance. And it maybe that sounds a little bit like you're pulling yourself out of any kind of solution, but the solutions come from the business owner.
Yes.
9 times out of 10. Like I say, the business owner knows what they're doing. They're very good at it. I'm not teaching them how to do their business, whether it's a plumber, whether it's a marketing shop, whatever it might be. They know how to do their business, especially the ones I work with. Like I say, are top
high performing.
performers.
Yep.
So they know how to do that. They just need, sometimes a question or two. And I love, that's one of the passions of mine, is getting people to look at things in a different way. And that's sometimes, again, you're like so driven, so like, boom, like you got the blockers on sometime. And just to be able to like sit back and talk to somebody and say, what if you did it this way, type of thing.
Yep.
And again, that's that partnership that I think that's what I'll start calling it, client partner.
Client partner.
Yeah.
I think we've innovated it today
Yeah.
right here. And so I think that actually is kind of the lesson today, Bootstrapped Unicorns. You really ought to become a client partner of a good coach. You've got to have a thinking partner who can hold you accountable, can help you self-assign the right things so that you can grow into that next phase of what your business ought to be. And I think it's true. I think we entrepreneurs know how to get there, but we can't unlock our own knowing.
Yeah, and like you say, taking on a partner, first of all, like you have to give up, a large percentage of equity.
Yep, true.
And there's also a lot of drama that goes along with having a partner.
Yeah, right.
And their families and all that. So so this again kind of bridges that, fills that niche, kind of again like the PA in the healthcare world. To have somebody to really bounce things off of, and I've got a lot of different tools and everything too. So there is a lot of stuff too. It's not just we're going to bounce ideas off and sit on a hilltop.
No, I know you've got structure and rigor
philosophize.
to this as well. But I think to me, after I've seen enough of your program to know that the structure's there, and that's part of accountability and part of awareness, but it also feels like it's you didn't unduly lean on structure, so it becomes a program,
right?
Because that kind of free form ability to grow ideas requires that questioning experience.
Yeah, creativity. I mean, it has to have some kind of obviously in business you have some regulation, you have some lanes to stay in, but there needs to be enough flexibility, both for the business itself and for the business owner, because everybody's different the way they operate too. So I think, like you say, that sums it up pretty good. I get enough structure to really make some good progress, some very quantifiable results and everything, but leaving it flexible enough to really adapt to whatever that specific challenge is for that business owner.
That's awesome. Where do people find you? It's
so website is sackelpg.com. It's SACKELPG, as in performancegroup.com. YouTube and Instagram, I'm Coach Pete Sackel. You can find me there. And thanks to C47 here in the studio, and
we're proud to work with
Josh and Tony. I just dropped my first podcast episode yesterday.
That's exciting, and what a great guest.
Yeah, no, Gene Columbus. Yeah, if you know anything about the meetings and events space, especially here in Central Florida, Gene Columbus is an icon, and so it was an honor for me to interview Gene. So that was
such a sweet man too. It was a privilege that you brought him in, so I got a chance to say hello. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So that podcast is called Meeting Success, and again, you can go to YouTube at Coach Pete Sackel and subscribe to that show. I appreciate that. That's always
subscriptions is how a YouTube channel survives. Yeah. So that would be nice if you did that.
And it doesn't cost anything. It sounds like it does, but it doesn't cost anything.
This is quite true.
Subscribe. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, you know what it does cost is it costs your time. And if you actually care about investing in yourself and your business, you do actually have to pay that fee. And so you're going to pay the fee somewhere. And I know a lot of people pay the fee in the wrong spot. If you're paying the fee to Netflix by watching another show, if you're paying the fee to adding 15 minutes to a workout when you've already got an hour and a half in, instead of paying the fee to something that'll grow your intellectual and emotional ability to take the next step in your business, you're not going to get a financial ROI off of paying that fee. You might get a temporary high or something, but I feel like you owe it to yourself. If you haven't subscribed to my show, Bootstrapped Unicorns, you need to subscribe to that and pay the fee occasionally and show up. We care about your success. And then subscribe to Coach Pete over on YouTube, and also reach out to him, because you need to pay that fee in your life as well, and spend some time learning from people who are telling stories. Some of it's just fun. I mean, Gene's episode was just charming as it gets, but also you are going to grow as a person when you listen to the right content and from the right people who actually have your best interest at heart. So there is a cost, but it's free because you click subscribe and YouTube gives you that connection. Cool. But it is a time cost. So if you care about yourself at all, you've got to start paying the fees in the right spots. And I'm borrowing this from Andy Frisella. I don't know if you're familiar with Andy Frisella. AF. Andy is he is an F-bombing crazy man who really actually understands.
75 Hard.
75 Hard. Innovator of that, and brilliant businessman. He's got a killer podcast. But he reminds you to pay the fee by sharing his content. And he's right that is one way of paying him, by growing his audience. But there's a time fee he never talks about.
You know that's a great point too. And like I say, like my 45-minute initial assessment, it doesn't cost any money, but there is an investment of time. And I think that's important, because you get value out of it.
Yes.
And to get value out of anything, you have to exchange something for that.
Yep.
You can't. You
got to have skin in the game.
Right. There's no free lunch or whatever. So there is an investment of time. I like how you put that.
Yeah. So spend on yourself a little bit, and if it's not going to be dollars today, spend the time so you can go and grow. Take it from me that every time I have a business coach, things change. In fact, call C47 sometime and talk to the team that we've built here. They know when I started getting coaching, because everything got different around here. And it's just something you have to do. And you don't know that you have to do it until about 3 months after you started it. And then you realize, oh, I had to do that way earlier because something's different. And so we need you. We all need you. And audience, just pause, think for a second, and now go and act on this. Your business will change. And we need you in this world. I always talk about how important entrepreneurs are in this world. It's the lifeblood of the American economy. More than 50% of our businesses are considered small businesses by the US government standards. Some of them I disagree with because it goes all the way up to 499 employees. They still call that a small business. But when we, normal people, talk about small business, we're talking about the 2s and the 3 employees and the 5 employees. That's where coaching is transformative on a level where not only the entrepreneur changes, but the lives of each and every employee drastically change. So if you're one of those small businesses that's got less than, say, 50 people and you're not being coached right now, shame on you, frankly, okay? Because you knew better, because I know you knew better. So go do something. If you don't
if you did, now you do.
So, and if you don't call Pete, and now Pete's a personal friend and I'm going to push the heck out of him because I know what he can do for you. But if you don't call Pete, find a coach you can trust and make that difference in your life today. Take the leap. I know this sounds like a freaking infomercial. I didn't expect this episode to sound like an infomercial. And if it does sound like that to you, I apologize. It was not intended to go that way. But I just so irrationally care for your success that this is one of the game changers you have no choice but to submit to if you're serious about yourself. So go and freaking do it. I'm gonna end the episode here because I don't wanna keep preaching to this choir, but I do think our entrepreneurs watching probably know it, but so many don't do it.
Yeah.
They got to do it.
And I can work with the team as well. I just wanted to throw that out there.
That's fair.
It's not
right.
just about working with the business owner.
Especially when culture starts setting in, or you've got partners, business partners, those things I know you can work on.
Yeah, because there's a lot of work being done with the owner, and that needs to then be communicated to the team.
100%.
And I can help roll that out.
It can definitely grow larger than the one-on-one. But I'm going to just harp on the one-on-one for a second. If you business owner, or let's say leader, C-suite leader, have not landed on this very wise decision to have a coach, I want you to feel a little tail between your legs tonight and go make that change, because I want you to be so remarkable. And you're probably right there, but you can be more. Take that challenge and go find Coach Peter or your nearest quality coach. Meet with them first. Don't just hire them off the street. Make sure it's a right fit. With that, I don't know who the next episode's going to have. I never do. And it's totally okay, because we vet really cool, amazing people that you can trust. I spend time making sure that the person on is of value to you, the audience. And also, if you haven't joined the Bootstrapped Unicorns podcast and marketing group on Facebook, and you're legitimately an entrepreneur or on an entrepreneurial journey, that is for you to join so that you can ask questions and share ideas with each other. We don't sell in there. There's nothing to sell in there. There's only growth to be had. I promise you, I don't plan on changing that. I'm Josh Pies. I am the chief attention getter at C47 Films, but I am the host of Bootstrapped Unicorns, and I'm so grateful, Pete, that you came on the show today.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
That was great.
And we'll hang out more afterwards. But go and do something so that you grow today. That is the lesson. Go get a coach.